The human brain has a peculiar relationship with comfort. We spend enormous amounts of energy seeking it out. Soft chairs, perfect temperatures, convenient everything. Yet the same organ that craves this ease also requires the opposite to develop one of its most valuable capabilities: mental toughness. Mental toughness differs from mere stubbornness or grit. Think of it as a psychological immune system. Just as your body builds immunity through exposure to germs, your mind builds resilience through exposure to challenges that push against your comfort zone. The mechanism functions similarly too. When you encounter a stressor your body can handle, you don't just survive it, you adapt and become stronger. When you face something uncomfortable, physical pain, social rejection, difficult decisions, cold showers, whatever makes you want to quit, a specific part of your brain acts as an alarm system, signaling that something requires your attention and effort. Most people treat this alarm like a smoke detector going off during cooking. They want to disable it immediately. But people with higher mental toughness have learned to work with this alarm rather than against it. Their warning system still goes off, but they've learned to hear it without panicking. When you deliberately stay in discomfort, several biological processes kick in. Your body releases stress hormones, which in chronic doses damage health, but in acute, controlled doses strengthen neural pathways. Your brain's control center has to work harder to override the impulse to escape. Each time you do this, you're literally rewiring how your mind operates. Modern life presents an interesting contradiction. We have more comfort than any generation in human history: climate control, instant food delivery, entertainment on demand. Yet rates of anxiety, depression, and stress-related disorders keep climbing. The correlation isn't coincidental. Research shows that people report the highest life satisfaction not during leisure, but during challenging activities that push their skills to the limit. The catch? This state exists just beyond the edge of your comfort zone. Too easy and you're bored. Too hard and you're overwhelmed. Right at that uncomfortable edge, that's where growth happens. The ancient philosophers understood this thousands of years ago. They practiced voluntary discomfort regularly, sleeping on hard floors, eating simple foods, wearing thin clothing in winter. Their reasoning? When you practice discomfort deliberately, involuntary hardships lose their power to destabilize you. You've already been there. You know you can handle it. Your brain treats challenges like muscles treat resistance training. When you lift weights, you create micro tears in muscle fibers. The body repairs these tears, building the muscle back stronger. Mental discomfort works the same way. Studies on stress responses revealed something surprising. The harmful effects of stress appeared primarily in people who believed stress was harmful. Those who viewed stress as a natural response that prepares the body for challenges showed better health outcomes, even with high stress levels. Their mindset changed their biology. This connects to what researchers call stress inoculation. Small doses of manageable stress train your system to handle larger stresses later. Elite military units don't develop mental toughness by sitting in comfortable rooms visualizing success. They develop it through extreme training, days of continuous activity with minimal sleep. The discomfort isn't incidental to their training. The discomfort is the training. Every time you avoid discomfort, you teach your brain a lesson. This thing is dangerous, and I can't handle it. Your comfort zone literally shrinks. The person struggling with anxiety who avoids social situations becomes more anxious, not less. The person who quits exercising when it gets hard finds even moderate activity increasingly difficult. Avoidance feeds on itself. Psychologists call these safety behaviors. These are the subtle ways people protect themselves from discomfort: checking phones during awkward silences, leaving parties early, declining opportunities that feel scary. Each safety behavior provides immediate relief, but long-term weakness. You're training your brain that the discomfort is indeed something to fear. The opposite also holds true. One of the most effective treatments for anxiety disorders works by deliberately and gradually exposing people to what they fear. A person afraid of dogs starts by looking at pictures, then videos, then observing dogs from a distance, eventually working up to petting a calm dog. The discomfort doesn't disappear, but the person's capacity to tolerate it expands. Mental toughness develops through what psychologists call stress cycles, periods of challenge followed by recovery. Athletes understand this intuitively. You don't build endurance by running at the same comfortable pace every day. You incorporate intervals, hills, tempo runs, controlled discomfort followed by rest. The same principle applies to psychological challenges. Taking cold showers won't directly help you handle work stress, but the practice of doing something uncomfortable every day trains your ability to override the quit impulse. Meditation doesn't eliminate difficult emotions, but sitting with discomfort for 20 minutes daily builds your tolerance for psychological pain. Research on habit formation shows that people who regularly engage in one area of self-discipline, exercise, meditation, even keeping a tidy desk, tend to develop self-discipline in other areas too. The skill transfers. Your brain learns a general capability. I can do hard things. Psychologists identify 3 zones: the comfort zone, the growth zone, and the panic zone. The comfort zone requires little effort. Your daily routine, familiar activities, established skills. The panic zone overwhelms your coping abilities. Too much, too fast, too intense. Between them lies the growth zone, challenging enough to require effort, manageable enough to be sustainable. Mental toughness builds in the growth zone. This means constantly recalibrating. What feels uncomfortable today becomes comfortable tomorrow. Last year's growth zone becomes this year's comfort zone. The process never ends, which frustrates people seeking a permanent solution. But that's the wrong framework. Mental toughness isn't a destination you reach. The discomfort is the point. Olympic athletes demonstrate this principle. They don't train until they're good enough and then maintain that level. They train to failure, literally pushing until their bodies can't continue, then recovering and trying again. Their comfort zone keeps expanding because they keep pushing its boundaries. Not all discomfort builds toughness. Meaningless suffering just creates trauma. The discomfort has to connect to something you value. Marathon runners endure leg pain because they value finishing the race. Medical students endure sleep deprivation because they value becoming doctors. The meaning transforms suffering from pure negative into fuel. Concentration camp survivors who found meaning in their suffering had better survival rates than those who didn't. This insight became the foundation for an entire therapeutic approach. Humans can endure almost any discomfort if they have a strong enough reason. This explains why forced discomfort often backfires. When someone makes you do something hard for reasons you don't accept, resentment builds instead of toughness. But when you choose the discomfort in service of your own goals, the psychological effect reverses. You're not a victim of circumstances. You're an agent pursuing what matters. Mental toughness doesn't mean constant suffering. Your nervous system has 2 branches, one for stress and action, another for rest and recovery. Both need activation. Elite performers understand this. They push hard, then recover deliberately. Sleep, downtime, play, these aren't luxuries that tough people skip. They're essential components of building resilience. The military units that endure extreme training don't stay in that state. After intense sessions, they have mandatory recovery periods. Professional athletes schedule rest days. Even the toughest warriors take leave. The pattern of stress and recovery creates the adaptation. Just stress creates burnout. Just comfort creates weakness. Research on burnout shows that people who never disconnect, who pride themselves on constant availability and endless work, eventually crash harder than those who build recovery into their routines. Real toughness includes knowing when to rest. Building mental toughness takes time, which our quick fix culture finds annoying. You can't download resilience or buy it in a pill. The process requires months and years of deliberately choosing difficult things, recovering, then choosing them again. But the compound effects are remarkable. Each small discomfort you endure expands your capacity slightly. Over time, things that once seemed impossible become merely difficult, then challenging, then manageable. Your baseline shifts. What used to break you now barely registers. The goal isn't to become impervious to pain or challenge. You remain human. Difficult things still hurt. But your relationship with discomfort transforms. Instead of something to avoid at all costs, it becomes a signal. You're growing, stretching, becoming more capable. The discomfort becomes proof that you're doing something right.